Georgia, welcome to Real Vision.
Thank you for having me, Ash. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure to have you here. We've wanted to have you on for some time. I'm glad we're finally getting you on the show. Let's give a little bit of a background for people who may not know. Tell us a little bit about Anchorage, who you are, and what you do.
Sure. So Anchorage is a digital asset platform. We provide services mainly for institutional clients, and it's really a broad range of services. Initially, we started primarily in custody, and now our custody services encompass both custody, settlement, staking, and governance for digital assets. We also have a lending program and brokerage operations to allow basically our custody clients to engage in other aspects of the crypto ecosystem.
Yeah, obviously, custody being the key to all of this, the first thing that you did, being able to secure the assets, particularly for institutional investors. Let's talk a little bit about how you do that and why it's so important.
Sure. And I think this is really one of our distinguishing characteristics. This is what really sets us apart from our competitors. Most people are familiar with hot storage, which is, flawed in that it is accessible, easily hackable, always connected to the internet. And cold storage, which is, something that is held away from the internet. And, we kind of call it pirate storage because it's like what pirates used to do when they would take their treasure and bury it underground and create a paper map and then hide that somewhere also. And instead of doing that, what we've created is what we call smart storage. And it uses hardware security modules, which is a very consistent way of protecting cryptographic assets. There's nothing really unique about this. A lot of other institutions and security agencies, both governmental and private, use these types of devices, and it allows us to store the cryptographic material without utilizing humans, which, as we know, are fallible, and keep it air-gapped from the internet, but accessible so that messages that are generated by our clients are able to go to the module and instruct it with a very specific instruction to either vote an asset in a certain way with a governance program or stake the asset with a certain validator in order to participate or transfer the asset. That instruction goes to the hardware security module. Once all of the biometric data of that client is authenticated, the hardware security module uses the air gap, which is like, with the space station and the space shuttle, we have that little chamber where solely that message can be transmitted to the internet. And then whatever transaction or action is then taken and it is, demarked on the blockchain. But it's unique in that it really takes away kind of the human fallibility, and also it is instantaneous. So, with cold storage, the big problem is you could be waiting days, potentially days later to even be able to initiate your transaction versus, we can do this all in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, I guess the metaphor here with the pirate map is you've got to walk to the place in the beach where it's buried, find it and dig it up. Obviously, this is the challenge. This is the sort of ubiquitous trade-off here between security on the one hand and accessibility on the other. And building these systems is obviously a method or a mechanism of trying to square that circle and figure out how to negotiate those compromises in a way that works within the framework of what institutional clients need to do and are mandated to do by various obligations, legal and compliance related. Which brings
this was driven by the clients because this was a need they have. It's not acceptable for them to have their clients waiting, more than a matter of seconds to be able to conduct these transactions. And so also it allows us to utilize the blockchain in what it does best. It creates these instantaneous, irrefutable, transactions. And I find that, utilizing like cold storage or even key sharding and all of these things kind of takes away from what is one of the wonderful features of this technology.
Yeah. So at the beginning of the show, you mentioned this sort of whole panoply of services that you provide. Can we walk through those, give people a sense? Because I think it's really important, not just to understand what Anchorage does, but also to understand about where the ecosystem is today, what the client's needs are, and how those needs get applied through various services. I think it's an edifying way to walk through it. So tell us a little bit about the list that you enumerated at the beginning of the show.
Sure. And I'll just start with it, like the genesis, the way it worked, kind of organically within the company. The company was built as a custodian. It saw a problem in the market and it solved it. People were being entrusted with their private keys and they were losing them. And they were actually digging through, garbage dumps and whatever to try to find these keys. And so they actually came to our founders who were, they've been in online security, crypto security for years, and they understand this industry very well. And so they came to them, before a company was even founded, and just were asking for help in finding those keys and recreating the assets and the ability to access those assets, and basically kind of hacking into their other hardware devices to be able to then access the keys. And so, our founders really saw a need and built a very sophisticated institutional level custody solution for these people, and then obviously others that followed. And the original clients were just very high net worth individuals, and then investment firms and JV and VC firms, and just kind of the more, I guess, institutions that were more on the cutting edge and willing to get into this space. And so as we started developing that client base and the industry started to really mature, there became other use cases for these assets, and these protocols started to develop that had other features such as governance and staking. And so because we're a crypto native solution, we're not actually like old school bank style custody that we're just trying to jam in the idea of crypto assets. We're crypto native, so we were able to utilize our existing technology to allow our clients in a very safe way to participate in those protocols. And then similarly, settlement was just like a very natural sort of progression. If you're holding the assets of someone and they want to move them somewhere or use them to settle a trade or transaction, then obviously your custodian should be the one doing that and moving those assets at your instruction. And so that service, very naturally evolved out. And then the next thing was brokerage, because if you already have assets and you want to trade into new assets, you need access to the on and off ramps in the marketplace to be able to get those. And so, as an agency broker, we will help you find those assets or sell those assets, whatever you need to do. Then always, returning them to the safe custody of Anchorage. And then our newest sort of addition has been the lending program. And this is just because of kind of the very interesting financial time that we are in, as a nation and as the world, in that, people are definitely finding it difficult to get yield on all types of assets. And
right.
Because, kind of the nature of the crypto industry and the fact that it's still developing and there are these inefficiencies, people are able to kind of capitalize on that. And then also, people are not really getting credit for the value of their digital assets from traditional finance. And so to be able to utilize your crypto assets as collateral for a USD or a USDC loan is very valuable to a lot of people, especially hodlers who don't want to part with the asset. They simply want to use it, as a way to generate more wealth.
Hey, if you like this clip, be sure to check out the full interview and more only on realvision.com/crypto. It's 100% free. Sign up now.